Hey everyone, my name is Joshua Quest, and I'm here with just a single piece of news because this is going to be in regards to the RSAA. There was a meeting that happened about a month back, and notes from that have been released. I'm going to go over what the RSAA means, or what it is rather, and what it means for Collegiate League of Legends. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So what is RSAA? That is Riot Scholastic Association of America. This is a governing body of Collegiate League of Legends with the purpose of, obviously, governing the varsity competition for Riot's games, as well as foster the development of gaming as a meaningful and complementary part of high school and college experience. Like I said, it was formed a little under a month ago. I think it was announced maybe May 22nd, and then afterward they had their first Board of Advisors meeting, and over the weekend the notes, like I said, they've been released. And yeah, so that's pretty much what this is going to be about. It's going to be the notes. Obviously, I didn't go. I'm not a part of the Board of Advisors, which, by the way, it is worth noting. The Board of Advisors, it's mostly non-rioters, which I'm really stoked on. Don't get me wrong. I've actually really enjoyed what JT Vandenbree and Michael Sherman have done with Collegiate League of Legends for the most part. I mean, obviously, no one's perfect, but for the most part, I've actually enjoyed it. But having just a group of non-rioters with rioters working together to expand beyond what the scope of Riot actually sees, I think is fantastic. And we're going to see how that plays into it, because there's actually a couple people I want to highlight here briefly that I think will really help out. Of course, I'll go over the Board of Advisors after I get done rambling here. The overall agenda was establishing a base from which to go forward. It's their first meeting. It's essentially just going forward from here, and having a starting point. So this included the goals and the hopes of the board, challenges presented with the tasks at hand. Sorry about that, and the state of the current collegiate scene for League of Legends, along with focus areas for next year's seasons. But again, most of it was just establishing a framework for which how things will be achieved and supported. Big point though. There will also be a focus on inclusion and diversity, and there's actually an audit of the program in place by a Dr. Morgan Romine of Iniki. So I looked up Iniki, and they have a mission statement. I'm just going to read their mission statement. To help create fair and inclusive spaces in esports for marginalized members of the gaming community, we pledge to provide competitive gamers with resources, support, and opportunities, highlight positive role models, create knowledge and tools to help create more diverse communities and supportive networks. And that's actually going to be headed up again by Dr. Morgan Romine, who is the director of Iniki. She is a PhD in cultural anthropology, and she's on the UCI Board of Advisors, among other places in esports. And she's also been on multiple panels to discuss how women can get involved in gaming and esports. So I'm actually really glad that they are bringing in an outside expert of the field of inclusive and diversity and implementing that into the collegiate scene, because the last thing I want, voice going out there, the last thing I want is, obviously, Riot has a very grim history of how they treat certain individuals, and the last thing I want is for that to get into the collegiate side of things. I understand JT Vandenbree. He's probably he's more of the like, he sees what's going on. Obviously, it's his job. Can't really expect him to quit, but he sees what's going on, and he doesn't want that. I know just from briefly interacting with him on Twitter, I know he doesn't want that part of the collegiate scene. Not only just for the professional side of things, but for his personal reasons. He just doesn't seem like that kind of guy. And from what I can understand, Michael Sherman's not like that either. So I'm very glad that they have someone like Dr. Morgan Romine, because even if they won't have the best intentions, now they can assure from an outside point of view that those intentions are going to be implemented and reinforced and built upon. So I'm really happy about that. Another point here, another person talking, Kurt Melcher, he's part of it as well. And some of you might know Kurt Melcher. He founded the very first esports program in North America, at least United States. So that was over at Robert Morris University. So he was giving an update on the NCAA and how they're viewing things. Last time I checked for NCAA, they are just kind of not going to worry about esports right now. So I believe that's their stance on the things. But that was pretty much the first meeting. They also went over how many times they're going to be meeting. And for the first year, I believe they're going to be meeting quarterly, and then cut that down to, I believe, twice a year. Maybe. Yeah. Like I said, most of it was just an infrastructure sort of talk. And actually, I'm going to throw up a graphic here. The purpose to practice graphic. This is about the method that they want to use on how to go about things. This was actually presented by Derek Jurovic. Sorry if I mispronounced that name. That was presented by him, and he is another one of the guests. He's actually from Riot Games, but yeah. You can see up there, purpose of practice. It's one of those typical things where you go into a meeting of any sort of. I don't know how many people have actually been in like meetings, especially for like startups or any sort of business practices where you're starting a new venture and you want to have a sort of a base plan. This is essentially what that is. Purpose of practice. I'm just going to go over it very quickly. Usually these things sort of go in steps. Again. If you ever work for any sort of company like this, or startups or any sort of new ventures, you're gonna have meetings upon meetings upon meetings of things that you think are obvious, but it's good to go over. And this is one of those things too. While it seems like an obvious starting point, it does need to be fleshed out a little bit more, and that's pretty much what this is doing. Purpose, principles, participants, structure, and then practices. So it's pretty much just going from brainstorming to application, essentially, and how to get there. And again, it seems obvious, but those sort of things, especially when you can actually see it, feels a little bit more tangible, and the goal is inside a little bit more and a little bit easier to approach, and especially to work through. All right, going to throw up a graphic here, this being the RSAA staff and the Board of Advisors. Those on the screen, those are the core members of the RSAA. Those are going to be the ones we see throughout pretty much every meeting, unless, of course, something happens where one of them drops out. I'm not really sure how all that works, but so far, these are the core members. Not listed here, I did mention a couple of them. Not listed here, though, are the three guests. Theron James, Derek Jurovic, both of them are from Riot Games, and then Morgan Romine of Aniki. But with that being said, I want to go back up to RSAA staff. It's pretty safe to say those are all Rioters. RSAA is a Riot idea, a Riot branch on the umbrella of Riot Games. So RSAA staff, those are going to be Rioters. Matt Byras, Michael Sherman, JT Vanderbree. Of course, we're very familiar with those two. And then Caroline Montano. Hope we get to be familiar with the other two as the season goes on, as the years goes on, as RSAA gains traction, starts to become more of an established entity. But up to Board of Advisors, familiar with some of these names: Mark Depp, AJ Dimmick, and Kurt Melcher, those specifically. Mark Depp and AJ Dimmick, they are the esport directors for their respective universities, UC Irvine and University of Utah. Kurt Melcher, of course, I don't know if he's still at Robert Morris University, but he, of course, I mentioned earlier, he is the, I guess the founding father of the esport program in North America with Robert Morris University. Works at Intersport now, which I believe is a marketing firm that connects businesses to people. I think I read their website right. You can go to the website and check it out. They have all their mission statement and things there, and of course all their services as well. And then we also have some, I guess those are conference, region representatives. That being the Big Ten Network and Mountain West Conference. Aaron Harvigo and Caroline Henry. So they're going to be representing the conferences, and then we also have TL Taylor, that person being from Aniki. And I would assume TL Taylor is just going to be kind of like an ambassador for, obviously ambassador for Aniki, and Dr. Morgan Romine, just to make sure that the diversity and inclusiveness is upheld and the audit continues to happen over a long period of time. So that's your staff right now. That's RSAA, and those are going to be the people that we should familiarize ourselves with as we get more information on RSAA. Because every meeting, as long as their note's going to be released, I'm going to be talking about them, and probably be hearing these names quite a bit. But that's it for now. I'm going to be looking forward to more of these. I'd love to sit into one of these one day, but I don't really think that's going to happen. I don't think Riot likes me that much. But either way. Again, my name is Joshua Fequez. Thank you very much for joining me. You can follow me on Twitter at Fequez, P-H-E-Q-E-S. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment below how you feel about all this, how you feel about this channel, anything like that. I'll have a podcast up Friday. I already have it recorded. Just need to do an intro. My voice is a little hoarse, as you can tell. I think allergies are hitting me. I might be getting a cold. I'm not sure. But yeah, that's it for now. Once again, thank you very much for joining me.